Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. This is our weekly baseball betting show that we do with Doug Upstone each week. Today is June 5th, and right now we're going to revisit futures odds to win the World Series, the American League, and the National League pennants. Doug, thanks for being back with us.
Peter, my pleasure to be back. And some of the front runners that were supposed to be doing so well certainly are not coming through in any way, shape, or form so far.
Yeah, all right. Let's start with the futures odds to win the World Series. And I have, there's line shopping is important here, but everywhere I'm looking, the Detroit Tigers are the favorite at Bet365 right now. They're 11-2. In other places, they're 6-1. But the Detroit Tigers, the favorite to win the World, that cannot be right?
Boy, it sure doesn't seem like it. I mean, they've lost 12 of their last 16 games. Their ERA, their starting pitching ERA in that stretch is over 6, which is just horrible. Now, they're still second overall in the American League. But boy, that is really a problem for them. And their bats have gotten very inconsistent of late. I can't see, and I certainly would not put my money on Detroit these days.
Throw that one out. And then the second choice that I'm seeing here is the LA Dodgers. They're 8-1 at Bet365, and they're 7-1 out of a lot of other places. And I mean, the Dodgers, just this week, I've been seeing them. They've been like minus 190 every game against the White Sox. I swear to every game, I'm like, White Sox, and they've swept. The Dodgers, a second choice. I know they got some awesome names in their starting rotation, awesome names in their lineup, but should they be 8-1 or 7-1 to win the World Series?
Same thing, Peter. I completely agree with you. And particularly, they've been just absolutely horrible at home, where they're 13-19 and they're minus 14.9 units at home. Now, there was an interesting article that came out today that Don Mattingly stated that he thinks that the team chemistry is certainly a problem with this team. There's not much togetherness, and as we talked about in the past, Matt Kemp is whining and complaining about having to play left field as opposed to center field. And this is a team that is just really, it certainly appears to be in disarray. And like Detroit, I would stay totally away from this team.
All right. Well, those are the top two choices that I'm seeing right now at all the major sites. So who do you think has some odds that might be worth betting right now as of June 5th to win the World Series?
Well, I would look to the Bay Area, Peter, and there's two teams that I would certainly take a look at. One of them would be Oakland. As I've mentioned in past videos, Oakland is my favorite team so far this year. They're number one in scoring. They're number one in run prevention. They are just absolutely murdering the opponents. They have beaten teams by 4 or more runs with an 18-3 record, far and away the best in baseball. And if you want to play the run line, they also are the best bet at 27-21, and that's good for 10.6 units. So they are absolutely killing it. Love the Oakland A's.
All right. Well, I'm scanning over these odds here, and there's two teams that jump out at me in terms of possible value. Now, just give me your feedback right now. First of all, Baltimore Orioles, right? 35-1 at Bet365 and 33-1 everywhere else. And we know how they're doing right now. Their pitching is adequate, and their lineup is really starting to produce now that Chris Davis is back, now that people aren't really injured. Let's start with that. What do you think about Baltimore at like 35-1?
Well, I mean, if you're looking for long shots, Baltimore would be in the mix, for something like that. Offensively, like you said, they have some promise. They can certainly do some things. Buck Showalter is a tremendous manager, so I think that's another positive. I'm not even sure, though, at least from my perspective, if they can even win the division. Maybe they can, but looking ahead to be able to win 2 series later on, boy, for me at least, that's a tough choice, but I certainly understand where you're going with it, Peter.
And what about the Miami Marlins? They have some holes in their team, but 100-1, you think that might be a little bit too high?
I just think the Miami Marlins, period. First of all, they'd have to crawl over Washington and Atlanta, and I don't think ultimately that's going to happen.
Okay.
Their offense is just is inconsistent enough, and their pitching without Fernandez, that's certainly a detriment to them.
All right, I hear you, but just looking down these other top choices, St. Louis is 10-1 at Bet365, but like 8-1, 9-1 at other sites, and then there's the Nationals who are 8.5-1 at Bet365. They're about 10-1 at other sites. I don't know if those are two enticing lines either.
No, I would agree with you. Washington has a little more potential upside once they get. Ryan Zimmerman is coming back right now. Bryce Harper, presuming that when he comes back in July, they're ready to go. So there's a potential, at least for Washington, because they have enough pitching to put together their offense and to get something going in the second half to be a threat. The other team that you really though have to look at is Toronto. I mean,
Right.
they are just absolutely on fire right now. I'm not sure if their pitching will hold up, long term, but their offense is certainly going to be there all year. And and in the playoffs, pitching certainly does count. But if you can get a hot offense tuned up, boy, you can do some damage.
Yeah, with Toronto, you can get some decent odds. They're 9-1 right now at Bet365, but that's by far the worst odds market line. Everywhere else is about 12-1, 14-1, and there's a few 16-1s that you can find as well. And that just goes to underscore how important it is to do line shopping. Yeah, and then looking down, I mean, the Braves, the Angels, the Yankees, the Red Sox, those are the next 4 teams. I wouldn't want to take any of those either. So who would you pick if you had to bet one team with value right now at the current odds to win the World Series?
The one team that I would take, as I just said before, I would still take Oakland.
Okay.
Would be my top choice. San Francisco would be my second choice, and Toronto would be my third choice.
All right, interesting. Well, we'll see how these odds shake out a little bit in the upcoming weeks. Now let's move on to discuss the American League and National League pennants.